Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of About Abroad, where it's my job to introduce you to people who have built amazing lives for themselves in various foreign corners of the globe. We're talking with expats and thought leaders about moving abroad, remote work, visas, and all the fun and practical knowledge that you need to know to follow in their footsteps. If you've ever dreamed of making a life for yourself overseas, maybe working remotely or embracing long-term travel, retiring or studying abroad, or even just taking a peek inside life beyond your borders, you've landed in the right place. My guest today joins me from Sintra, Portugal, which, as you're going to hear very soon, is one of my new favorite places in the world. And his name is Max Carvalho. He's the co-founder and CEO of a company called Boundless Life, which is doing something pretty incredible, building out the full capability for families to make the move abroad and spend 1 to 3 months in various places around the world without skipping a beat in terms of schooling and activities and community and all of that. They've curated these village-type experiences in places all around the world, starting here in Sintra, Portugal, where we are today during this discussion, and expanding across the globe as we speak. So a lot of fun talking with him about the program that they built and the places they're going, and also about Marcos' life as a global citizen, having lived on multiple continents all over the world. Really fascinating discussion. Had a blast getting to know Marcos, and I think you all will enjoy his story as well. So please help me in welcoming Marcos to About Abroad. Yeah. So right now, where are you? Are you in Portugal actually, or?
Yes, I'm in Portugal. I'm in Sintra, which I like call magical Sintra. Really like a gorgeous place, just 45 minutes away by train from Lisbon. And we have been here for 3 months, my wife and the entire team. And that's where we launched the first Boundless Life community.
Oh, man. Did you know I literally just got back from my first trip to Sintra like a couple weeks ago?
Oh, man, you should have known. You should come visit everything we're doing here.
I hate it. I hate that I miss you. Sintra had kind of been on my map, my radar for years. And I've been to Lisbon and to Portugal many times, and I just love the country. Obviously, it's like a neighbor to me here. I'm living in Spain, but even before coming to Spain, I just always loved Portugal, been attracted to so many things about it, and somehow just kept missing Sintra. Like, I don't know how. It's like a major destination, but just going there for the first time a couple weeks ago, I was completely blown away.
So let me ask you this question. How long did you spend here?
It was like a day trip. Like, I just came, left early in the morning, spent the day, saw the castles, walked around the town, had lunch in the Pueblo, and then we were gone. It was like the typical tourist day, not enough time, too much to see. And I immediately thought, I need to spend I need to come, kind of live here for a while.
Exactly. That's the answer I was expecting, because that's what most people do, right? And, to live the Sintra experience, you have to allow yourself to spend some days in here and just chill. This is, that's where a lot of poets would come for creativity. And there is so much to see that makes a huge difference. I recommend you coming and spending a week in here or a little more, just enjoying the lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've got my vote for doing that. I came back raving to my wife about it. We have to go spend time there. I could probably not do it the same justice you could. For somebody listening right now that's never heard of Sintra, doesn't really know what it is, how do you illustrate it? How do you describe it to someone?
It's like a fairy tale town. It's first of all, it's united. It's a UNESCO heritage town, right? So everything's protected here, and you have what we call the village, which is this medieval, or even one of the castles. They have found traces of civilizations that is as old as 6,000 years old. Yeah. So there's a lot of history in here, from the Moors to the entire royalty of Portugal. This was the place where the kings would come for the summer because it's fresher. It has its own microclimate. So it's a little valley. Actually, it's on a hill, on a small mountain. And then there's a little valley as well, and just 15 minutes away from the ocean as well. So a lot of different microclimates and this gorgeous architecture. And so the nobles would come here too, and they built a bunch of palaces. So you can imagine what came out of this.
Yeah, it's kind of like walking around like a real Disney World, like in a way. They're like walking around. There's castles on every little hill. They're ornate, beautiful, different colors. It's set in these like green rolling hills. I mean, you feel it's like it's lush and green, which is a little bit unique to be on the south side of the Iberian Peninsula, where it's normally pretty dry and arid, and in which, you know, just 45 minutes away in Lisbon, it does feel more like that tropical climate, tropical Mediterranean climate. Yeah.
5 degrees cooler here at least.
5 degrees Celsius. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 degrees Celsius. Yeah.
Yeah, that's significant in 45 minutes. And it's not like you're climbing some steep mountain to get there. I mean, it's right there. You see the ocean from Sintra. Yeah, it's a magical place.
Yeah, here I have this beautiful historical home here where I live now, and I can see the ocean from here, and it's green everywhere. And then if I look on the other side, I see this amazing fortress from the Middle Age. It's just magical. Everywhere you look is like, oh wow, I didn't see that yet. Oh, you know, this angle is different.
And I read in your in something that you put out there, I have this gist that you're a surfer, right? And there's like, I mean, you've got the beach right there, awesome waves close by. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. The waves are, you know, amazing here everywhere. So especially now during, you know, winter season. So I wake up very early, you know, drive 20 minutes, surf some great waves before I start getting to work every day. And that's something that has been in my journal. I've been journaling about it, you know, visualizing about it. You know, I've been a surfer for many years, but I wanted to do it every day. And I've been living in Canada for the past 12 years as a base, but traveling a lot to surf as well. But I wanted to do it every day, and now I'm able to do it. So just loving it.
I'm glad you followed your dream to the waves. As I said, I can attest it's a gorgeous place, and Lisbon's one of my favorite cities in the world. And you're just right there outside of Lisbon. I mean, it's basically a suburb of Lisbon. To be a major city like that and to have quick access to mountains, to sea, to small towns, to history, it's pretty epic place to call home.
Yeah, I have to say, you know, we researched 100 towns before launching Boundless, and we wanted to nail it. And Sintra couldn't be a best. You know, we couldn't find a better place than Sintra for that. And people are very impressed. They say like, wow, you know, you guys really nail it. Now, you know, we set ourselves up to a great challenge to keep coming with amazing destinations like that. But we have a huge list in the roadmap. And we'll be launching soon similar concepts in other towns around the south of Europe, maybe Morocco, and even Asia.
Wow. Okay, man, I cannot wait to dive into that. I'm very tempted to go ahead and go down that road. What I would love to do before getting deep into Boundless is to learn a little bit more about you. I'm personally interested because you've already mentioned like living in Canada. I don't gather that you're from Sintra, but you're calling this home, and I believe you've lived in a bunch of other places. So I would love to set the backdrop, one for my personal knowledge and then also for the audience, just to know a little bit more about you and where you've lived before. And I have a feeling that it all connects to what you're doing at Boundless. So let's start there. A little bit of background.
Yeah. Before even knowing what a global citizen was, I think my parents, especially my mom, you know, decided that I would be one. So I was raised actually to just, you know, live abroad. I'm not really knowing where. I'm originally from Brazil. I was born in Rio de Janeiro, and, you know, we suffer a lot from many problems there in the 80s. Hyperinflation was one of them. So even though we didn't have much, all the money we had was put into education and traveling. So we were brought to France when I was 10. So I was raised between France, United States, Canada, and Brazil, mostly. But traveling nonstop as much as we could, covering Europe, covering Northern Africa, you know, everywhere in Central America, South America. And so that became part of my personality. You know, when I thought about going back, finishing a master's degree in Paris, going back to Brazil. I went to Brazil and I realized, hey, I don't fit in here anymore. Okay, but where do I fit? I didn't know, and I really didn't care that much, to be frank, because all I wanted was to explore. And then I realized after many years studying psychology that one of my personality traits is called explorer. I'm an explorer. So what I really enjoy is getting to cover a new culture and meet different people. And I don't have this need for attachment to one place, right? So I kept traveling, lost count of the countries, the more exotic, the best. Did the entire Middle East, Eastern Europe, from Siberia to, Ukraine and many other countries. And everything I've done since business-wise was a reflection of that. After deciding that I would move to Canada, and why Canada, I wanted a better passport, like, most Brazilians would want. And because I did all my studies in the French system, for me, it was much easier to immigrate to Quebec. So I moved to Quebec 12 years ago. Today, I'm a Canadian citizen. Love the country, kept traveling, that gave me the means to be able to keep traveling, and realized I was an entrepreneur after a few years working in business development while doing a lot of deep searching about myself. And now this is my fourth company, the past three with Mauro Repati, Boundless Life CEO, a very good friend of mine. And him, coincidentally, he's also from Brazil. We met in Canada, and he's a very creative guy. We're very aligned, and we created businesses around mobility and about relocation, because that's what we had done before. One was about helping people identify, I would call it the first online relocation platform. We developed algorithms using big data to help families move into a new town to identify their ideal neighborhood, right? And then that got rapidly into real estate and helping people find their ideal homes and so on and so forth. But after exiting our last company, we wanted to take a break, and we wanted to live this life, with our families. And that's when, the idea about Boundless Life was created. It was just like, okay, let's do this. Let's take a break. And we wanted to buy properties across the world. And, I'm a surfer. He likes wine. So let's do Tuscany, Portugal, Costa Rica. And then we can cycle between them. But we realized it was much more complex than that, of course, right? Plus, we really want to be managing properties all over the world. It's another complexity. But the biggest issue was, okay, what we do with the kids. I personally don't have kids yet, but I'm planning on, and I want to build this structure where I can live this life of kids. Mauro has 3, and then we brought in the rest of the team, Reka and Elena, and then that's a bunch of other kids, and how we're going to solve the problem about education, for example, and about community, and about how those kids will socialize. So we realized this was a problem that many other families were facing. And when COVID started, which was everything was more or less around the same time, we saw those major, new trends. And you're specialized in remote work. That's one of the biggest ones. But also, a lot of people researching, about what they really want to do with their life. Seeing how life could be fragile, how we, could lose our freedom quickly, and asking themselves deep questions like, okay, why do I need to live in this expensive city and pay expensive mortgage if I could just, explore the world and cover new things? Why do I need to pay 2 car leases and stay stuck in traffic for hours every day? Why do I need to take only 2 weeks vacation if I could work remotely and have, just live a workation lifestyle? And then because of the kids also look more, and we're very interested into education, why keep our kids in this archaic traditional education system that is not really preparing them for the future anymore? If we could bring them with us, help them explore, discover, and then provide them more of a future-ready education, right? So those are the questions in ourselves. And by surveying thousands of families, we realized that many were asking themselves as well. And as serial entrepreneurs that could not just relax and not do anything, we say, hey, we need to build this, and we need to build this structure. So we decided to build Boundless Life, which is really streamlining and making a seamless transition to a more nomadic lifestyle specifically for families.
It's such a real I hate to call it a problem, but I think it is a problem, or at least a challenge for a lot of families or people, maybe, and even in a similar situation to you, where they have this global citizen-esque part to their personality, and they're trying to figure out how do they weave that into life in that next phase of life. Kids are on the horizon, or you have young kids, but at one point you were an explorer, and you can't imagine not having that in your life, but you probably, a lot of us probably think that it's a decision. It's a fork in the road where you're going to choose one or the other. And I agree with you, obviously, that it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to, you can have your cake and eat it too these days, which is pretty exciting. You kind of see that fork in the road sort of merge into one lane and just say, okay, actually, let's weave the kids into the lifestyle that we want to live. And then you get to that secondary set of questions and problems which you're addressing, which is, how about the education? How about the community? How do they build social skills? And what I think is really cool about this and exciting about things that are emerging, like what you're creating, is that in the new world that we're in, the skills that they're going to learn in that environment, I think, are super useful. Me, for instance, like every day I'm interacting with people from 30 or 40 different nationalities. We approach things in a different way. We come from different schooling systems. We obviously speak different native languages, even if we're communicating in English. So communicating across all these different cultural barriers and different languages and things like that is going to be more and more a part of the way that we work and live. And I think it's really awesome that there's going to be opportunities for kids to learn how to develop those skills at a really young age.
Yes, absolutely. When trying to solve a problem for ourselves, we actually identified something that was fully aligned with our purposes. We're like, we all want and wish we could help make the world a better place. Okay, but what is the biggest problems we're facing right now with all those conflicts? We see that again now, right? In my opinion, our opinion is polarity. People just don't want to sit down and understand each other. And as global citizens, we have this privilege of having experienced different cultures. So I'm much more open to the different people. And any project I'm going to work on, I'm going to take that into consideration. But kids that, stay in one specific place and don't have those interactions, they can't develop those skills, and they don't take that into consideration in their future. Now, by educating kids to be more open-minded, develop kindness, compassion, empathy towards other cultures, it's really, and combining that with what we could call future-ready education, analyzing the trends, where's, the world going, where's the direction, and what are the different skills they're going to have to succeed. You combine those two aspects, and now you're able to raise the kids that will really be able to have a positive impact in humanity. And that, in my opinion, it's a longer process, but it's the only efficient one, really, because it goes through education. We cannot change the world if we don't change education. It's impossible. Short-term measures will have a small impact, but we need to really transform everything in order to support the future we want to see.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of I don't know if you've read James Clear's Atomic Habits book, but it kind of talks about like these 1% changes that you can make in your life and your, whatever it be, maybe your productivity system or your health or in society, something as big as society. But it kind of goes against this conventional wisdom that we have, that we think that things are going to change with these big swoops, big changes that just have a massive impact all at once. But more likely things will change through these little 1% changes that you make, and certainly something like this can have the over time can create this compounding interest, so to speak. So I think it's really impactful.
Absolutely, it creates an avalanche effect, right?
Yeah.
I always tell people, and I advise and mentor a few entrepreneurs, mostly entrepreneurs, but all kinds of people, and they ask me, okay, where should I start? I mean, you start with yourself. You start by working on yourself, and then by working on yourself, you can be a better parent or a better brother, a better son, right? And then now you create this small group of people that are healthier, and that group connecting with another group, which are other families, your neighbors. Now you create a community that is healthier, right? And then you can go and grow that and bring that to another community and another community. And that's how you expand it. That's the only way, really. Passing laws and obligating people to do things, you're going to have to change their mindset, and it's a much longer process.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the what this looks like on paper, because I think we are totally aligned on what we think this can do for the kids and stuff. But hey, let's be honest, the people listening to this are they're like your age and my age that are going, yeah. But I want to how do I get to the surfing in Portugal and the wine country? So what does a day in Boundless Life look like, or maybe even more broadly than that? What does process look like for getting involved with Boundless Life?
Yeah, well, we are originally tech entrepreneurs mostly, right? So we always looking to streamline processes. How can we make it more efficient, seamless? We live in this on-demand economy, right? We have everything on an app, and we want just to click on a button and have things ready, right? So we're trying to do a little bit that. It's really a turnkey solution for families. All you need to decide is where we're going, how long you're staying, right? And when you get here, all you need to do is buy your food. So we organize cohorts. So we have 3-month cohort where families arrive at the same time, spend 3 months together. They can spend 3 months in one destination, then go 3 months to another destination, and so on and so forth. So they can buy a 3-month package or a 6, 9, 12-month package with us and keep traveling. Summertime and winter holidays in December. This year we're doing June, July, August, and December. We also enabling families to come for 1 month. So you book, you arrive, about 20 to 30 families arrive at the same time in one destination. So we provide housing. So those are properties specifically, and that's a big difference with an Airbnb, right? Specifically designed with families in mind, and then adapted to that specific family needs, right? They're coming to spend 3 months. You want to help them feel at home as soon as they arrive, right? So if you need a crib, there's a crib, how many bedrooms you need, and all the safety equipment, fully equipped, fully furnished. We respect good standards. It's not about luxury, but for sure, people want to feel at home and be comfortable, right? So that's one aspect. What we are doing is that we are creating a village within a village. We want to reproduce more of this tribal lifestyle, but being fully culturally immersed. It's not a gated community, right? Even though there's people coming from all over the world, they live within the historical center of the town. So here in Sintra, we have a couple of our own buildings. They are all historical buildings, fully renovated. And all the properties, we have 2 buildings, and then we have apartments spread in different buildings. So you can live with your Portuguese neighbors, or you can live with your international neighbors. And they all 5 to maximum, actually 3 to 15 minutes walking distance from each other. Now, at the core of all of that is the learning center, so the education center, and our hub. So those are 2 commercial buildings, also within the same walking distance. And in there, we drop the kids at the learning center in the morning. They will be there and having an amazing experience and benefiting from this very advanced education system that we created, inspired on the Finnish system of education. And the parents, if they need or want, they go to the hub, which is our co-working space. And in there, we have a community manager as well. So we provide an additional type of concierge service. That the goal is really not to make it a 5-star hotel. The goal is to support your cultural immersion. What do you need to live like a local as soon as possible? Where you get your groceries? You like organic? Do you have a specific diet? What kind of sports you like to practice? Let me connect you with the local soccer team manager and make sure your kids, get a spot so they can play soccer with the locals for 3 months. You like surfing? Here's where you can rent a board. And then through our online app, they can get access to all of that. But they also have a team on site that is mostly hanging out at the hub to support them with everything they need. And then on top of that, we organize community activities, people to get to know each other. We do yoga together. We provide many activities that is also included on the package. So people bond and collaborate and get to know each other. And then the other interesting aspect, there are many different interesting aspects in my opinion, but when you bring like-minded parents, looking to live this lifestyle together and you put them in this co-working space, they start collaborating and they start having ideas and a lot of concepts come out of it. And I've been, and the rest of my team, we are advisors in some of the most prestigious tech accelerators in North America. So we're bringing this, mindset like, hey, this person does that and that person was working on another project. You guys should talk. And, maybe he's raising funding for his project and we know some investors and things just grow like that. So that's one really cool aspect that I enjoy. And then there is the other aspect, which is how can we give back to the local community? How can we get involved, right? How we don't want to be seen as those expats group, really not. And in Sintra, it's been amazing. The people here are so nice. They really welcoming us, which takes me to my question at the beginning is like, how long did you spend time here? Most people come for a day and they leave, right? It's very, just spend some bucks here and then leave. Well, the economic impact that we are having here is it's huge. Slow travelers, there are so many different. They spend on average, the economic impact is 25 times bigger than a traditional tourist, right? We will support local NGOs. We are now, it's something that we are building. We're working on, okay, how can we transfer some skills to young adults in the community and provide in our case would be digital skills and mindfulness courses in there as well to support the community. So there are so many things like that end up growing. So the local community is really enjoying the fact that we are able to bring people to stay longer period of time, get to know them, and then support the local community and economy.
Wow. There's so many elements to dive into here. I'm trying to decide where we should go first. I'm curious to hear a little bit more about the schooling aspect that you're providing for the kids, because I think that would be somebody's question. It's one thing if you're coming there for summer vacation. There's not a whole lot of expectation, but I read somewhere something about the kind of educational system that you guys have adopted, and it would be very cool to dive into that a little bit.
Yes. The major differentiator is that we created the first education system that we describe as follows the children anywhere they go. So we use the Nordic baccalaureate from Finland. It has been demonstrated as being one of the most successful ones in the past 15 years. Very advanced, very progressive. It's based on sensory learning, experiential learning, project-based. And instead of having a curriculum, a 10-month curriculum, a 12-month curriculum, it's really based on those cohorts, those 3 months cohorts. So there's no beginning or end. It's like continuing education. It takes some of, the benefits of homeschooling as well, right? There are many studies showing that homeschoolers, have a much higher acceptance rate in the Ivy League. Because they are able to guide their own education with the support of our tutors that are fully trained and learn all the core academics through those projects that are based on the UN sustainability challenges, right? So for 3 months, they have classes similar to Montessori age groups and small groups. We have many educators, I think about 1 to every 10 children. Maximum, which enables a very personalized approach, which also enable children with special needs to develop themselves in a very unique way. We have room for that and give that freedom. So they work on those projects. It's very cultural based as well. They learn the local language, the local habit. Then they build this project. Actually, tomorrow they're going to be presenting the results of those quests that we call. And that gives them a mini diploma, a badge. There's no score. It's not like you succeed or you failed. It's what did you learn, and that's about it. And that's how we see life. And it's all those learnings that they are able to acquire. And we are creating what we call a briefcase. So a briefcase, and soon will be digitalized. The briefcase is really their curriculum. We are building the child curriculum as early as possible. And that's what they're going to be presenting if they want to go to a big university or if they want to, after go to a high school, they're going to say, okay, it's not about the scores I had, but I helped build an NGO when I was 9, and this is how we solve hunger when I was 8, and so on and so forth. And then at 12, I started my own startup, and, we did this and this and that. And we believe that it's a much deeper and richer system that we prepare kids for real life. And this is what we call future ready. And of course, we combine that with a lot of, digital skills. We enable parents to contribute. Parents are always involved. We have what we call endeavor time. So let's say you are a developer and you dedicate 1 hour to teach programming to kids once a week. Another one is a yoga teacher and can also. So parents are always involved in their kids' education as well and contributing to it.
Oh, that's such a cool element. I love that. I can totally envision how that helps unite you mentioned the word tribe earlier, these kind of like tribal roots that we have. And I think it's something that pops up a lot on this show. Like when I'm talking to guests, from all around the world, it's this like find your tribe mentality, which I think is something that maybe subconsciously keeps a lot of people from traveling, maybe especially as you're either new to traveling or maybe as you get a bit older and you get a little bit set in your ways, you have your community back home and there's something uncomfortable about leaving that. And so recreating that through serendipitous conversations and activities like you're doing, it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like building this power hour of networking in a very fixed and closed environment. It's parents connecting over the fact that, hey, I'm teaching yoga to our kids and you're teaching development to our kids. And, we get a chance to bond around these two things that are totally different, but we have something in common. We're all here in this foreign place together. I can see how you could build a tribe and that community very, very quickly.
They become our kids. right?
Which is the tribal mentality. Yeah.
Which is the tribal mentality. I mean, thousands of years ago, nobody knew who the dad was.
Yeah. It takes a village came from somewhere.
Well, exactly. So, we always, it's the kids, the Boundless Life kid. And, I drop tears like almost every week when I hear them talking. I mean, I may be a bit sensitive, but, I went for dinner the other day with a family, took them to this Portuguese restaurant I like the most. I'm like, hey, I want to make sure you guys like this place. And I like to say grace before eating. It's nothing religious. It's just like being grateful for my food and, all the opportunities we have. And the mother asked the kids if they want to say something, and was just like mind blowing. Everything they were grateful for was mostly like, hey, I couldn't be more. And those are like 7-year-old kids, right? You get like, whoa, really? You speaking like that? Like, yeah. I couldn't be more grateful to be in this amazing learning center and learning all those things that I'm learning at Boundless Life, the best, school I ever been at, and so spontaneous. We get testimonials, and we have this mobile app, and then parents, just send us feedback in there, and they said, kids are waking up earlier to run to go to the learning center, and then they want to leave at the end of the day. So when you see kids behaving like that, and I remember how I didn't want to go to school, I'm like, okay, I think we're on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you've got kids getting up and running to school instead of like kicking and screaming and dragging them there, I think, you've done something right. We'll be right back to the show after a quick break for a note from our sponsor. This season is brought to you by my good friends over at Insured Nomads. They're the absolute best in the business when it comes to providing health, travel, and medical insurance for nomads, expats, and really just all forms of world travelers. I know insurance is often something that's overlooked when we're fantasizing about traveling the world, but it's absolutely necessity that we address this, because often the policy you have in your home country isn't going to cover you while you're abroad. And it's also a requirement, as a lot of people may not realize, to actually buy private travel or expat insurance, as it's called sometimes, to obtain a visa or even enter certain countries. So fortunately, there are companies like Insured Nomads to help us with this. Not only do they have excellent coverage and great prices, but they're also providing a first-class experience with additional perks and best-in-class technology via their app. It's an amazing experience. I can't recommend it enough. Now, this is a company that was built by world travelers for world travelers. So they know what it's like to find yourself in a difficult medical situation abroad, and they want to keep you from having that same bad experience. So the next time you're planning a trip abroad, whether it's for a week or a lifetime, check out Insured Nomads via the link in the show notes. Hey guys, if you're still around and enjoying this episode, then I think you might actually like our once-a-month newsletter as well. If you'd like to sign up, just open up the show notes of the episode you're currently listening to, scroll down, and look for aboutabroad.com/newsletter. It takes about 30 seconds to sign up. It's a fantastic way to support the show, and I think you'll be pleased with the information that we provide every month as well. Thanks a lot for listening. Hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. Okay, now back to the episode. It's so interesting too. It's really funny we're having this conversation because so in my full-time job, in my day-to-day, we do these offsite retreats, which I'm in charge of coordinating, bringing all of our people. We have like 100 people in 30 something different countries. We bring them all to various offsite locations. That's why I was just in Lisbon actually recently, but we're planning one for the summer, which will bring the whole team together, all hundreds or so people to one location.
Do you bring the families together?
We're just doing the core teammates, not significant others or families. We do have some extenuating circumstances where we allow that to happen, but generally it's just for the workers 1 week together. A lot of work focused team building kind of stuff. But what I find really interesting is that, so when we started crafting the concept for this, like what did we want to do this year? We came up with the idea that renting a village would be really cool. So, or like renting out space, like going to a small place, as opposed to in the past, maybe we've gone to big cities and seen, famous cities, Athens, and seen, the Greek Parthenon, and gone and seen all the museums and things like that. We've gone to big cities, we've done that, but we said, like, what if we did something, what would we like after this pandemic? We've had years apart, we haven't seen each other. And we kind of came to this concept that a small, intimate village type setting would be the best thing to facilitate what we were looking for. So we've rented out a village where we're scattering teammates across. And it's very similar to the concept that you've built. There's a central hub where everybody can go to do work and where we can kind of congregate and meet, provides that area for those serendipitous conversations, which I think is a big purpose in having these offsite retreats for teams and stuff. But the point that I'm getting at is that, there's planned activities in that. There's a central place. It's a small village setting that kind of creates that tribal mentality. And that's what's really important for teams. And what I think is cool is that you're creating that for families and young people. And it's got there's a lot of red threads tying these ideas together. And for me, it's where the real magic happens. I've always loved going to the small towns, the secondary cities, the villages. And I think there's a resurgence of the importance of that as we get away from needing to be in big cities for everything. We don't need that as much. We don't need it as much for work anymore. We don't need it for access to opportunity or technology or even schooling now, and certainly not community. You can create community in many different places. So I love kind of connecting these dots. I think it's really fascinating.
Yeah. Imagine the connections, the bonding you could develop in one of those retreats if employees could bring their families, their spouse, their kids, and spend 2 weeks, a month maybe together working, and maybe just a group, maybe just one team, maybe just the sales marketing team, or maybe the entire company if you can afford. But imagine bringing everybody together to live this tribal life together and have their kids connecting. The relationships at work will change completely after. They will develop real friendships, right? Real things will come out of it on a personal level that will have, of course, a very positive impact on productivity. And it's something that is actually on our roadmap because we see a lot of value on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's huge. I mean, that's where, connections are built over things that you have in common, and children are certainly something that you can connect with. And I think especially so, there's something about it. I can't quite put my finger on it. I bet you would agree, but if you don't, tell me. Something especially interesting about that when you're in a foreign place. When you find yourself in a place like Sintra and you're not from Portugal, you connect with the people in your group in a different level. You're a bit more open, I think. You're outside your comfort zone, you're outside your element, and you're open to more. I've always found it interesting, like, when my wife and I first moved here to Valencia, for instance, in those first few weeks and months, we met so many people. We were exchanging numbers with people left and right, and we made lots of friends. And eventually you settle into your routine, and all of a sudden you start noticing those instant connections aren't happening anymore. And the only thing that's changed is you've just become more closed off a bit somehow naturally, but you just sort of get settled into your ways. And then you go travel and you go somewhere else, and that sort of starts happening again. So I think there's something to be said for that. When you're in a foreign place, you just kind of start connecting with people. There's something about, I'm a foreigner, you're a foreigner here. We already have that in common, and it gives us something to bond around.
Yeah, I remember I lived in Miami in another life many years ago. And everywhere you go in Miami, the first question is like, where are you from?
Yeah.
And then that's how it starts. Where are you from? And then, oh, cool, Italian or Brazilian or whatever, Colombian. And that already starts. And I'm like, okay, we all from different places. We all different and we all here, let's be cool to each other, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody's is in their comfort zone anymore. We all need some support. So let's help each other.
What do you say when someone asks where you're from? I'm curious.
I say I was born in Brazil, raised between Brazil, France, United States, and Canada.
If it comes, these answers are becoming longer. At one point, it was just like, I'm from Arkansas, man, and that's it. and these answers are getting longer and longer. And also, I think less and less important. It's such you started off by saying you were sort of a global citizen before anybody was even using that term, and I love meeting people that have had that experience, because today there is a bit of like, it's so easily accessible, and even though there's still a sharp learning curve with figuring out how to make a quote unquote real life work while traveling and living abroad and such, it's so much more accessible than it was before. And it's really interesting to meet people that have sort of grown up this way. I mean, you lived in multiple countries. How many languages do you speak, for instance? 4 languages. Like, so for people who grew up where I'm from, like that's a second language. You're just like, that's mind blowing. And today, kids are growing up. By the time they're 5, they've learned 4 or 5 languages. I was just with the CEO of my company, who's a guy originally from Bosnia, grew up in Denmark, lived in Chile, married a Chilean wife, and now they live in Barcelona. So their kids are learning Catalan, Spanish, Bosnian, and Danish, and English. And so their kids are like 5 years old and speaking 5 languages. And this is the way forward. It's why these experiences like at Boundless Life and such are I think really vital. I think it like kind of shouldn't even be seen as an extra or like a perk or something that you should like maybe splurge on and go do from time to time. It's like this could be a super valuable way for your kids to be prepared for the future that is actually like really the present.
Yes, and that's something that we care a lot about when educating the children at Boundless Life, because, well, English is the first language in the education system. Now, they learning also the local language everywhere they go. So I was very impressed at that dinner that I mentioned before to hear the kids ordering the food, right? They did order food after 1 month here, but we also adding Spanish as a second language. So kids who, there's a lot of demand for Spanish. We survey, okay, which language parents like their kids to learn. So it would be English, Spanish, and the local language every time. So imagine if you learn a little bit of each language every 3 months, you have some knowledge, you can deepen that after if you wish, or you can come back to the destination, spend more time. That's really what we're aiming for.
Oh, it's amazing, man. And well, you started in a great place in Portugal. It just was recently voted the number one place for remote workers to go to live and work. It's consistently considered one of the top places for retirees to go and digital nomads. And so it runs the spectrum, from a 20-something-year-old digital nomad to retirees and now families in between. It's an awesome place to call home. Great cost of living, very open in terms of people who want to permanently relocate there. We've got other episodes on people who have done that through the D7 visa and other opportunities. So if people are listening and really interested in Portugal long term, there's previous episodes on that. I'm curious to ask you a couple kind of like logistical questions and then we can sort of wrap up on that. I'm curious, what does the size of the group look like in Sintra, and even if whether that's the norm or not, what do you kind of envision is the typical size of the group?
Yes, an average of 30 families. That's what we're looking for, right? So it's growing fast. We started thinking, always between 20 and 50. And, after studying all the different destinations, looking to the real estate available and all of that, we believe that the ideal size is around 30 families.
30 families. Yeah, that puts you at what, somewhere 75 to 100 people, something like that maybe, which is, I believe, like an ideal number for like psychologically speaking, for a tribe or a group.
Yeah, every family has on average 1.7 children.
Perfect.
So,
okay. Yeah. So you're right around that.
But we
100
have
mark.
single parents too.
Yeah.
We have it's very, very diverse. Yeah, very diverse. We have single parents with 3 kids. We have co-parenting. We have all formats.
Do you have any groups that show up without kids that are just like a couple, or is it really kind of catered towards the families with kids?
So at first we thought that, we could accommodate. And then we realized, after surveying many people, we realized that we couldn't really, respond to everybody's needs. When you're a single couple, you want to do different things. They don't really want to be around kids all the time either. And everything we do is really around kids, right? But one interesting thing that came up, and we had at first when we start selling, this service, we invited families to become what we call founding family. And founding families are those first 40 families that are really representing what we do and supporting the development of this lifestyle that we believe, would be one of the main lifestyles of the future. And we needed those families to really, give constructive feedback and, be more open as well to understand that this is a new project that is being built. And those families are amazing. And what happened was that we have founding families who are grandparents. Like, hey, my kids are going with my grandchildren. I want to join too. So we have, I think, a couple of grandparents who are founding families as well, and that's super cool.
Oh man, if my mom or dad are listening right now, they're like the quintessential grandparents that just love being grandparents more than anything, and traveling the world with their kids and grandkids. That's like truly living their dream. So you might have some new customers in them just from this episode alone. I was also really interested to know what about what's kind of included and not included, and rough estimate on pricing, just more or less. I'm sure it probably varies depending on many factors, but I think what people want to know is this something that's only for the rich and famous, or is it set up to be, super budget friendly, or somewhere middle of the road?
It's somewhere middle of the road. It's what, when people ask me is, okay, it's for someone that would be able to afford a decent Airbnb in one of our destinations. So that's the the price wise, we're very competitive actually, because if you go and you rent an Airbnb with the same standards of the homes that we are providing, which is not even close to what we provide in terms of personalization of the home for the families, our prices are actually about 15-20% cheaper. But I should not even say that, because we're not selling housing. That's not what we're selling. We're selling an experience. We're selling a package and
convenience. I think the package is there's so many moving parts. Just moving myself to a country for 3 months without kids, there's a lot that goes into that, and pulling away all those headaches and outsourcing that to a local specialist that can wrap it up and put a bow on it for you, so that when you arrive, you can enjoy your time together is priceless.
You don't need to do anything. Basically, you get the housing, you get the education. So we have our partners in insurance and legal services if you need as well, depending on how long you want to stay in each place and your personal needs. So you buy a package that is competitive to an Airbnb, and then there are things that you can't price, like community, right? That's the number one thing they say. It's the most valuable thing we are offering. I will never be able to price community, right? Plus, you get 24/7 access to an amazing co-working hub. The only price that is separated is the education part. You don't have to have your children in our learning centers, but 99% of the families have, right? I mean, people don't, with everything that they're doing there, you don't want to leave your kids outside of it. So the education part is comparable to an international affordable school in any country. And the housing would be compared to an Airbnb, the package would be compared to the price you'd pay on Airbnb if you would have to just rent a place and stay by yourself.
Fantastic. And what you mentioned some of the other locations, and I wanted to ask you this early on, but would have been putting the cart before the horse. So we finally get to arrive to this. I'm so curious to know, where are you looking to expand to next, if you can share?
Yeah, so we're looking to focusing on south of Europe for now. So in June, we are launching our second destination. The destination will be announced very soon. Will be the first destination where we're going to be selling actually a 1 month package. They will be slightly different, especially in terms of education. It would be more like, okay, how can I replace my summer vacation with something very unique? Have this cultural immersion. And the education part would be aligned with everything we do, but would be also a little bit more camps, right? So, we are looking to Greece, Italy, Spain, Morocco. I'm going to Morocco next week. Today we have some of our team in Mallorca. We have people in Greece now, in Lucca, in Italy. And all of those places are places we are building simultaneously. The order of launch will be announced. And then the plan is to go by beginning of next year. We're looking to Bali, Costa Rica, and then going to more exotic destinations.
That's incredible. I'm sure there's some families out there salivating at the idea of spending time in all these different places. And that's a great point I want to kind of end on, I think, is the idea that people could transition from one location to the next in a lot of ways. Like if they wanted to be in Sintra for 3 months and then go to Bali for 3 months, they could kind of transition through the schooling system and through Boundless Life to make it sort of one seamless experience.
Absolutely. We have families that, started here with us and now they sold. I'm getting a 12-month package, and they literally go like, okay, anywhere you guys launch, I'll just go because I know I'm going to be supported. It's literally like that. So that's really cool. The trust we see, and they can stay. And then we support them with, we have legal services that we partner with many legal experts in each destination to see, okay, how long can you stay and what kind of visa would you need, or a visa extension. And then we recommend people according to that. They pick the destination. Are you getting out of the Schengen zone or not? For how long? So every case is different, but we support them with that so they can pick the best destination.
Man, sounds great. I think that's breaking down those barriers to entry is what's so key for your business model, I think. And it seems like you guys are really doing just that. For any of us that have ever tried to navigate the rough waters of long-term travel, it can be challenging. And I think it's what keeps a lot of people from taking that step. And so I think that by offering them a smooth sailing kind of ease of entry into this lifestyle, people will probably dip their toe in the water and get pretty addicted to it. I think especially with all the cultural immersion that you're doing, the ways you're giving back to the local community, the education education for the kids, the community you're building, all these elements, like you said, you can't really put a price on them. You can't go on Airbnb experiences and buy those individual experiences. It just doesn't work like that. It has to be created and fostered and nurtured in this way.
And it grows in time, right? You arrive, like first week you're getting adapted, and then second week you have different experience. Third week you made friends. Fourth week you're going on a road trip together. It's just like you growing this new life together, and with the support of the structure that we are providing. And our vision is really to build the infrastructure for this lifestyle to be available to everybody. And eventually we're going to have other solutions that can be more affordable to other people. But just 2 years ago, there was just, you probably know that better than I do, but just like, I think 2 digital nomad visas. And now we are at 19, 20. So other countries see, the high potential for that. And us building a structure and connecting with those destinations and showing them, hey, this is how we can add value to our economy, to your communities. Let's make it easy for everybody. And Portugal, it's making it very easy. It's amazing. I'm getting my Portuguese residency here, and I wouldn't expect how simple it would be compared to what I had to go through in United States and Canada, France. It's like they just they're very flexible. They're like, okay, we understand you guys are adding value. And I asked my lawyer, I'm like, is that all? Like, yeah, don't worry. I'm like, okay.
It's fascinating. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons Portugal's skyrocketed on this list to literally number one. I mean, it's the number one place in the world for remote workers to go right now. And it's because they're so open and flexible. You look at the bureaucracy to get one of those digital nomad visas for a lot of countries. It's insane. And not just the bureaucracy, but also the taxes that they want, the fees. There's multiple barriers to entry for people. I think a lot of people will envision some remote workers working for some tech company raking in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and that's just not the reality for the vast majority of them. So it's very smart the way Portugal has gone about it, and they have so much to offer, and it's awesome to see them going about it in the right way. And then look at what it's doing for them in this regard, right? Like you've come there out of all the hundreds of places you evaluated. You came to Portugal, you settled on Sintra, and you're bringing 100 people there who are investing in the local community, giving back. People are learning Portuguese. They're eating at Portuguese restaurants. I mean, the ripple effects are insane and super obvious.
Yeah, and 100 people, it doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, I bump into these people every day in the street. It's amazing. And we made them vast as founding family, so it's really cool. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And that village lifestyle, like we recognize each other and the population recognize us, and everybody is very friendly, and it's like just so much joy, and they expecting and they know us in the restaurants, and we get a great service, and it's really cool.
It's awesome. I'm addicted to it from afar already. I can't wait to continue watching you guys grow and hearing where the new locations emerge. And it'd be great to sometime get one of your founding families on the show, especially from maybe another location, to hear how this is going. I'm sure I have no doubt that people that listen to this show are going to want to hear more. So on that note, where should people go to learn more, follow along? What website? We'll put it all in the show notes so people can access it with a quick click.
Yeah, so our website is boundless.life. That's simple, right? And then our Instagram is Boundless Life. Our Facebook is Boundless Life. I'm mostly on LinkedIn, Boundless Life as well, so people can connect with me there. But yeah, just reach out. We talk about founding families and families that are with us here. They ask for to talk to other families, to tell their experience. They literally ask us and make themselves available. So you can literally book with one of those families by connecting with us on our website, and then we will make the connection with one of those families. If you have questions and want to learn directly from someone that has experienced that and not just the founding team.
Sounds great. Well, for those of you listening, you can check those links in the show notes. They're there for you to go check it out, and we will certainly do that. Try to get one of those families on the show in the coming months. Can't wait to continue to watch you guys rise. It's been fun kind of witnessing it from afar, and I was super interested to learn more. And so thank you for sharing your personal story and more about what you guys are doing. It's super fun to watch, and I have no doubt it's going to be a huge success.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity, Chase. Great pleasure talking to you. I hope we'll have other opportunities to chat soon, and keep in touch.
Will do. Yeah. Obrigado.
De nada.
Thanks for tuning in today from wherever you are in the world. Once again, I'm Chase, and this has been another episode of About Abroad. For those of you wondering how you can best support the show, I have made it super simple for you. Just go over to the show notes of the episode that you just finished listening to and click on one of the two following links. aboutabroad.com/newsletter to get our monthly newsletter, no spam, guaranteed, or ratethispodcast.com/aboutabroad, where you can quickly and easily leave a review for the show. It's not just important to me, it also helps more wanderers just like you find us. Finally, don't forget to subscribe on your podcast platform of choice, and we will see you again next week. Thanks again. Hasta luego, amigos.